Okay, I think I'm live. There we go. Hello, hello, hello. I am going to wait just a few moments for people to come on, but welcome to my weekly Illuminations message for this week. I'm really excited to share this information with you because it just kind of came through me. Hi, Valeria. And yeah, this is a really powerful message this week. So, welcome. Say hi if you are with me live, and this is going to be a powerful one if you're here live. So, let's just take a moment while everyone's hopping on. Just close your eyes and just take a moment to drop into your body because this is going to be an activation. So as I'm talking about the messages that are coming through, I just want you to know that like it's going to be like an activation and a system upgrade for your energy. So just know that and feel that as I'm talking. Okay? Okay, so when I was tuning in with my guides just now to kind of wrap my head around like what I was going to be talking about, they showed me something really interesting. So, and I apologize, I had like a cold this week and I'm still a little bit stuffed up. So my voice might sound a little bit stuffy. So, what they showed me is they showed me actually an image from 2007 when I went to India. And again, if you're just hopping on, say hi so I know that you're here. Um, so they showed me an image of 2007 when I went to India. And when I went to India, I actually had a really hard time when I was there because it was just so different. And I was in a really rural part of India and I was staying at an ashram and it was just very foreign to me. And there was no, hey, Kat, welcome. Um, and there was really no like comforts or luxuries that we would experience here in the US. And the way that I always described my experience in India, and just so you know, I was in the very southern tip of India in the state of Kerala, and I was actually near a city called Trivandrum, which, if you don't know India, I'm sure you've never heard of it. It's not that big of a place, and it's very underdeveloped. You know, they lack a lot of infrastructure there, and that was just something that I had never experienced to that level. So when I was there, I was, this is what I describe it as. I was constantly looking around for something that resembled something I'd seen before, and I never found it. And when I checked in with my guides this morning, what they showed me was this image of India and that feeling that I had where I was constantly like looking around for something that felt comfortable, something that I recognized, and I never found it. Hi, Terry. And sorry. Um, so hi, Andrea. So they showed me this image and they showed me this feeling that I had of like wanting to cling to some kind of comfort and not being able to find it. And they showed me this as a parallel to what a lot of people are feeling right now. And there is this way right now where people are wanting to cling to the old, where people are wanting to cling to these old comforts and these old things that feel familiar because everything's changing, right? The world is shifting. You are all shifting. If you're here, you're shifting, right? You're shifting even as I'm saying these words because that's how powerful the shifts that are happening are. So you're shifting. But there can be this, what's the word? This tendency to want to cling to the old. And what the guys were showing me really strongly, and what they want me to share about today, is to ask you to live in the question, where am I clinging to the old, right? Where are you clinging to the old? And how can you shift and change that? And how can you just acknowledge it, right? And not, it's not about like beating yourself up about it. It's not about shaming yourself or anyone else. It's just about noticing it, right? Because noticing it shines the light upon it and it brings the consciousness to it, right? And that's all we need to do. And then we can allow the energy to transmute as it will. But um, where are we clinging to the old? And I'm going to give you an example of myself where I noticed that for myself in my own life. And this is around something that I've been navigating where I'm sure many of you have heard me share. I've brought my husband into my business and he is working with me slash for me. And it's been amazing in so many ways. However, I've noticed that if I am not really, really conscious, I can cling to the old ways of relating to him that are not in present time with my business. And what I mean by that is there is this way where I can, um, like, say yes to things or try to allow him to be in the driver's seat on certain things where that way of being doesn't work in my business because it's my business, it's my company, and it is driven by my intuition and my inner knowing ultimately, right? He's helping with all of these amazing 3D things that I would never do. Hi, Ruby. Um, but at the end of the day, this business, this company, is grounded in and being motivated and driven by my mission on this planet, which is to raise frequency and spread light and change the world, right? So ultimately, I have to listen to that when it comes to making decisions. So the way in which I've been clinging to the old, or the way in which I noticed that today, was just an interaction we had around a decision that I made and him not agreeing with it, and me all of a sudden be like, oh my gosh, for a second, like feeling like I did something wrong, and then ultimately realizing, wait, no, I acted on my intuition, which is ultimately what got me here and what's going to keep getting me everywhere I need to be. So, I had to explain that to him, and I had to essentially write a new story for us, especially around this business, which is, ultimately this is being driven by my intuition. And I love and I appreciate all of your support and guidance, and will really want you to take the lead in very specific areas, just not this, right? So I had to rewrite a new story. So I share that because what's really happening and what they were showing me is we are all being called to do a complete overhaul. And I think I wrote that in the title. And really look at where we're clinging to the old and how we can rewrite these stories. And being really, really real about that, and really, really honest with ourselves about where can we change and rewrite these stories about the things that we're clinging to, right? Where are we clinging to the old, and how can we rewrite the story so it's in alignment with who you are now? So part of the most important thing about this that I want to share, and let me know if this is making sense for you, and if you're just hopping on, please say hi so I know that you're here and I can tune into your energy. So the most important thing about this is actually realizing that you have the power to rewrite these stories. And what I mean by that is very specific. It's not about just intellectually knowing, like, yes, I can rewrite the story. It's about knowing, embodying the fact that you can, and you have the ability and you have the power to rewrite these stories. And that's when you're really going to be able to rewrite the stories. So what was shown to me, and I'm just reading what was kind of coming through, is realizing you have the power to rewrite these stories. That's first. And when I say realizing it, what I mean is fully embodying it. Fully embodying that knowing. Okay? Hi, Eva. Hi, Genevieve. Thanks for being here. Um, so that's first, really embodying that. And, that's not always easy because we have a lot of old programming telling us that things just happen to us and we don't have control over what random things are happening all the time, and you better watch out because something bad might happen, right? So all of that programming is what needs to be dismantled so that we can really step into that knowing that you have the power to create these stories. And a lot of what's happening in the world right now and what we're seeing is a lot of like, you better watch out. Something really bad is going to happen because you don't have full agency over your life. You're not the creator of your reality. But that's actually, again, what I always say, everything we've been told is really the opposite. So that's first. Deprogramming and reprogramming all of that stuff that says that you don't have the power to create every single thing that happens in your life. So that's the first part. And then, so they're saying you can rewrite these stories unless you can't rewrite these stories unless you truly embody the knowing that you have that ability. So that's really, really important right now. So again, I'm just going to go back over um, where are you clinging to the old? And that can be with people, circumstances, situations, patterns, ways of interacting with people. Where are you clinging to the old? And then how can you rewrite these stories? And how can you embody the knowing that you can rewrite these stories? Okay. So then what they said to me very clearly that it's really important for me to share with you is you can't create magic unless you believe it exists. And I know that might seem really simple, but it's not about just like believing, it's about believing and knowing, right? And in order to embody that, there's a lot of deprogramming and reprogramming that needs to happen. And that's where my zone of genius is. So if that's interesting to you, you can definitely reach out to me about that. Okay. So really looking at where can you untangle yourself from these old ways of being. That's like this big energy that's coming through right now, is really looking at and dissecting where are you clinging to the old. Okay, super, super important. Okay, so I just wanted to share some stuff that came up for me because I think it will be helpful for you, because I think this is stuff that a lot of us deal with. So I think it's really important for me to share this. So when I ask myself, where am I clinging to my old ways, right? Or where am I clinging to the old stories, to what feels comfortable or what I know. And what came up was still needing approval from others, still feeling responsible for other people's feelings. That's a huge one for me, and I know a lot of you. Um, and then also still needing acceptance from others. So this morning, I asked my guides to show me how I could step more into who I really am. Right. And I always ask questions like this because I love to live in the question of like, show me. All right. Like, this is what I want. Show me. Show me where to go. Show me how it's done. Right. So I said, show me how I can step into more of who I really am. And immediately they showed me a bunch of situations where I am still needing approval or acceptance from others. And one of those was that situation I just mentioned with my husband, which is a huge one. And then there were a few other things that came up um, where I have differing opinions than many people in my family. And it can be uncomfortable at times because I have a different viewpoint than many people that are in my surrounding area. And that can be really hard at times, especially as somebody who used to always feel responsible for people's feelings. And all of us, I think, at some level are still looking for approval or acceptance from others, especially our family. So that's been coming up a lot for me lately to clear. And I see the gift that all of this is, right? Because I'm constantly being given the opportunity to look at, okay, where am I still, like, why am I upset? Oh, it's because I feel like I'm making somebody upset. I'm making somebody upset, right? So these are all of those stories that we tell ourselves and these old ways of being that we're clinging to, right? And I'm just sharing some of mine because I feel like it'll be helpful because I know you guys can relate. Let me know if you can relate. Oh wait, Ruby's saying, oh, I love that you can create magic unless you believe it exists. So true. And then Terry says, oh my God, yes, feeling responsible for other people's feelings. Terry, I am the queen of that. um, and I've moved through a lot of it, and obviously I had to, but it was such a big thing for me. And I think, especially, and I've talked about this, if you have a narcissistic mother, it just like comes with the territory, and I didn't really know how to live my life for many years without feeling overly responsible for everybody around me, especially because I'm psychic and I know what everyone's thinking, so that makes it even harder. um, so yeah, it's a huge one. Okay. And then the other thing that they're saying too, when we're looking at what are we clinging to, where are you still looking to others to tell you what's okay instead of feeling it in your heart? And this is a huge one. I'm going to read that again. Where are you still looking to others to tell you what's okay instead of feeling it in your heart? And this is a huge thing that's happening right now on an individual level and a collective level, because there's a lot of things going on right now where you're hearing from the world like, oh, this is the right thing to do, right? This is what you have to do. And nowhere are we hearing like, do what feels right to you. Do what your intuition tells you, right? So again, the opposite is true of what we've been taught, right? We've always been taught that your teacher knows better than you, your parents know better than you, the doctor knows better than you should listen to them. And nowhere did we ever learn, oh, you should really just follow your intuition because ultimately you know what's right for you more than anybody else. And that's the shift that we're making. So that's where all of this deprogramming comes in, where we're really being asked right now to look at like, where are you still clinging to those old ways and where are you outsourcing your power? And that's what this is really about right now, is really looking at, where am I outsourcing my power? Where am I looking to someone else to tell me what's right for me? And really, all that is just about taking the responsibility back and taking the power back. And that can be scary sometimes, because taking on more responsibility can be scary sometimes, right? Um, but ultimately, that's the key in rising to that new level and creating what you want. So Valeria says, yes, I can relate. I love seeing how we are all the same in terms of clearing and moving our own shit. Yes, there's a lot of similarities. Okay. Hold on one second. Okay. And then the other thing that I think is really important with all of this is, like I was kind of mentioning before about living in the question, ask to be shown, right? So this idea of where am I clinging to old ways of being? Where am I outsourcing my power? Ask to be shown, right? Talk to spirit every day and to ask the universe to show you what you need to clear. And then you just have to be open to the answer, right? So what they said was, like asking the universe, show me how I can be more of myself. And then the universe will show you. They will show you ultimately. They will give you the opportunity, but usually it looks like a problem. Usually it looks like an issue or something that is like getting in the way, right? Something that you have to deal with. But really it's an opportunity. So you ask the universe a question, the universe is going to give you an opportunity, but it's probably going to look like a problem. But it's up to you to recognize it as the opportunity that it is, to step more into who you really are. And that is what's been happening to me over and over and over again. And I've been really like, the miracle frequency is something I talk about all the time, but as I continue to live in this frequency, and watch these miracles unfold daily, what I'm also being asked to do is see these problems as opportunities, because I asked for something. I asked to go to the next level. I asked to expand. I asked to grow my business. And now I'm being shown what I need to look at in order to get to that next level. So that problem is really just the universe saying, here it is. Here's the opportunity. And it's up to you to recognize it. So let me know if that's making sense. Okay. And then living in the question is a really big one. So I love this. So again, when we're talking about where are we clinging to the past, where are we clinging to old ways of being, and doing that complete overhaul. Hi, Natalia. Um, living in the question, saying, show me where I need to, what I need to clear today. Show me where I'm clinging to the old and how I can shift it, right? Live in the question. Um, and how can I be more of who I really am? What bullshit am I still subscribing to? This is a big one, because there's probably some bullshit that you're still subscribing to. We all have it, right? And let it be fun. Allow it to be something where it's like, oh, that's interesting. That's curious. Let me look at why this is happening. It doesn't have to be like, oh my God, I'm still doing this thing. Like, we're all still doing things, right? Like, we're all going through it. So there's no reason to like beat yourself up and be like, oh my God, but I did all this work around my mom. We all have, right? And it still comes up. And that's okay. Just recognize it for what it is and move through it. Well, I have to do. Okay. And then the last part is around like these little stories that we tell ourselves that create limitation. So these stories that say, like, okay, so the bullshit you're still subscribing to, right? It can look like this. Well, I have to do this thing because, right? So you're basically telling yourself a story about why you have to do something you don't want to do because, right? So that's some bullshit that you're subscribing to. So how can you rewrite that? Because you don't have to do anything, right? Um, well, I'll do this thing when, right? There's a lot of that going on where it's like, well, I will, you know, do this program that I really want to do when I have enough money, right? Or I will go work with that person when I'm more spiritually advanced or something. And like, that is another way that we limit ourselves and we actually keep ourselves back from the growth that we're actually seeking. So really looking at these little stories that we tell ourselves that like seem to make sense, we don't want to make sense, right? This is the issue that I had with my husband earlier, because he was like, I made this decision about my business that I know is 100% what I'm supposed to do, and he told me it didn't make sense. I'm like, great. I didn't start this business to make sense, right? I started it to change the world. So I'm gonna listen to my intuition on that one. So looking at these stories of like, um, these reasons we tell ourselves why we can't do things or why we should do things, or these little things, right? And they're little, so sometimes it's hard to recognize, because you're like, you tell yourself the little story and you're like, yeah, that makes sense, right? But does it? And also, do you want to make sense? Or do you want to make a lot of dollars? Okay. Um yeah, and these are all just like the stories that we tell ourselves that keep us small and keep us in this like limiting mindset. And what we're really wanting to do is step into the possibilities, right? And the possibilities live in the now, in the quantum field. Um, so all of this is just to get us out of this old way of being, the old bullshit that we're subscribing to, and step into the possibility of the now. And the possibilities live in the now, in the quantum field. That's why people get such powerful results with my breath work, because it's forcing you into the possibility. It's forcing you into the quantum field, where automatically you're aligned with infinite possibility. So infinite possibilities just starts to flow to you. It's just a natural thing. So that's really what we're stepping into. All right, I'm going to go to the comments here. Andrea says, Natalia says self acceptance and patience, always good. Andrea says, yes, I love this. As long as we're alive, we will still have BS that we need to clear. So true. The only time is now. I have the exact same divergence with my partner, and I tell him the same thing. Oh, good. I thought people could relate to that. And Ruby says, I love reframing problems as opportunities. I tend to get stuck on viewing problems or challenges as me doing something wrong or backsliding, but perfectionism is unrealistic. Yeah, and these are always opportunities, right? Ruby, especially if you asked for something, right? If you asked for something new, if you asked to make a change, if you asked for that next level, of course you're going to be shown what you need to look at in order to get there, right? So it's really important to like not think that, oh, I'm doing something wrong because I'm experiencing this problem, right? Or this negative emotion or this so called bad thing, right? Nothing is really bad or good when we zoom our perspective out. And Andrea says, that's exactly it too. You get that it doesn't make sense, but you're doing it anyways, and it's clearly hard for some observers. That is true. It is hard for some observers. Okay, so yeah, that I think is about it for today. I think this was a really powerful topic. So really looking at this week, I want to invite you, if it resonates for you, to really look at where you're clinging to these old stories and how can you rewrite new ones, and what that will look like for you, right? Um, so yeah, I invite you to do that this week. I know I'm going to be doing a ton of that because I am having all of this expansion happen, and I'm just continuing to live in these questions, right? And I think that's really important as well. So that is about all I have for today. If you want to talk more about this or how you can really start to reprogram and deprogram some of this stuff in order to really step into these possibilities, then reach out to me and we can chat about that. And if not, I will see you next Friday or maybe even before then. Okay, I will talk to you guys soon. Bye. Oh,